Thanks. Hey, Benjamin, how are you?
I'm
Pretty
good. How are you doing,
background
Kate?
there. Um, so I'm Kate, and I'm a guide with Trek Travel. Awesome, awesome job. And I invite you all to get comfortable, grab yourself a nice, tasty beverage, and sit back and relax because tonight is part happy hour and part dreaming about where your bike can take you. And I'm coming to you from Chapel Hill, North Carolina. And Taryn is on with us tonight, and she's up at Madison, Wisconsin, our home base. And we expect to have folks from all over the country, if not the world, with us this evening. So if you've first of all, let's talk about Zoom. I know you all are very adept at using Zoom at this point in time. If not, however, if you move your mouse, you will get a taskbar where you can see where you can turn on and off your mic. You can turn on and off your camera. There's also a spot where you could hit that CC, and that will give you closed captioning, and it'll spell out what's being said if that's helpful for you. So all the other thing to know is your chat box, because there are a couple trivia questions tonight and we're giving out prizes. So see where that chat box is, because we'll be asking for the correct answers right in that chat box. And that's also where you can put questions that we're happy to answer either throughout or at the end. We'll make sure we cover all of those.
Or since there's only two folks on tonight, just shout out the answer.
Yeah, absolutely.
Benjamin, you might have a really good chance.
Yeah, Ian's on a train, so I don't know if he'll turn out. We'll see. So at this point, I'm going to ask everyone to turn off their camera, turn off your mic, and we'll get the show on the road. So if you've traveled with us, you know that we always start each day with a route talk. So here's a route of where we're headed this evening. We're going to start and talk about Trek Travel and tell you who we are. And then we're going to head up that little hill. We're going to talk about why you should travel with us and what sets us apart from our competition. Then we're climbing up to the top of that hill, and that's where we hit those trip spotlights. And we've got two very different but very awesome trips for you tonight. We're talking about Texas Ride Camp, and then we're talking about Norway. So really beautiful scenery and riding. And I can't wait to tell you more about that. And then we'll drop down that hill. We'll talk about how do you book a trip, and then we'll come through the finish line with questions, answers, and hopefully any details you need to get yourself booked. So no safety talk tonight, just the route. So to get started, we want to tell you what we do at Trek Travel. We believe that the world is best seen from the seat of a bicycle. And if you're with us tonight, I bet you do as well. We have been running cycling vacations all over the world for 20 years. And we're always scouting out new locations to take our guests. Now, over those 20 years, we've won some awards along the way. We take real pride in being voted one of the top vacation companies by our guests and our partners, including being voted one of Travel + Leisure's best for 21 and 22. And of course, we got our sights set on winning that again in 23. So now I want to tell you how we make that magic happen, how we set ourselves apart from our competition. So rather than tell you, I want to show you this. And this is a presentation from our president, Tanya Burke, called Why Trek Travel.
Travel is transformational. It allows you to have a different perspective, get to know a culture, your surroundings, and the landscape around you. But a cycling vacation really is different. You can see things up close and personal. You can smell the flowers. You work up an appetite riding your bike, and so it makes the dinners taste that much better. And for me, it is the absolute best way to see the world. We meticulously plan every single one of our trips, from hand-picked perfect accommodations to the region's best riding and local and cultural experiences that really immerse you in the place that you're traveling. And these are all the elements of an awesome trip. Our guides provide exceptional hospitality. They're really focused on making sure we have a seamless and effortless experience for our guests, and they provide wow moments that you would never expect. If you're avid and want to go do some epic climbing, you can do that. If you want more of a leisurely ride, we have trips for you as well. We also offer e-bikes, and they have been an absolute game changer. People can go further than they ever imagined. So we have different rider levels, different trip styles, price points, and destinations all throughout the world. We go to North America, Europe, South America, Asia, and pretty much anywhere you can dream up, we can take you on a vacation there. The most important thing, and I think everyone at Trek Travel shares this, is taking care of people. And that's why we do what we do. It's ingrained in our training, and it's ingrained in our commitment to providing exceptional hospitality. And our hope is that all of these elements come together and provide an experience of a lifetime.
Such an amazing video, and so many places around the globe right there in that presentation. So let's continue to talk about what sets us apart. We think the number one thing are our bikes. And I know you're with us because you love to ride your bike, and so do we. We are Trek Travel after all, and our bikes are incredible. And we're super excited because this year, our already awesome fleet has gotten an incredible upgrade. We have got brand new Trek Domani SL7s on most of our destinations this year, and new Domani Pluses on those destinations. They are ultra lightweight. They have carbon wheels standard. Really great bikes. I got to ride those out in Phoenix earlier this spring. You are going to love them. So here's a great picture of that. And also on our trips, we offer 2 e-bikes. We offer, this is the Verve Plus that you see here. This has a hybrid construction. It's got a low step through. You can see it's got the straight bars. These things have been total game changers, as Tanya said in her video, because they allow more people to travel with us and do the same trips as their friends who may be super avid and out on those Domanis, and they want to travel with them and still see the same great places. And these Verves make all the difference. Now we also have, you'll see a picture on the next slide, a Domani Plus, which is an electric road bike. So it's got the same geometry as that regular Domani, and just a little boost, and it's pretty stealthy too. You can barely see anything that says that it's an e-bike. So if you have not ridden an e-bike, you have got to go by your local Trek dealer, because you can't ride an e-bike and not have a smile on your face. They are so much fun, and they go really fast here in the US. They're a little slower in Europe, but yeah, very, very fun. So I encourage you to do that. So open up your chat box. We have our first trivia question coming up now. But before I put up the question, that's the Domani Plus. Very stealthy e-bike, right? It's gorgeous. And I did test out that new bike out in Phoenix as well this spring. Okay, on to the question. Which of the following is not an e-bike class? Is it class 2, class 4, class 1, or class 3? And you just have to put the letter of that answer in the chat box. We'll be selecting a winner from the folks who have the correct answer at the end of the presentation. So stick around. We've got some great prizes to give out. So I mentioned e-bikes have helped us to get more people out on bikes, seeing the world. And we're super excited because they're the newest, most advanced way for folks to ride longer, farther, and faster than ever before. Okay, so hopefully we've got some answers coming in that chat box. So let me tell you a little bit about classes. Class 1, it's a low-speed pedal assist electric bike. that ceases to provide assistance when the bicycle reaches 20 miles an hour. Class 2, low speed throttle assisted electric bike that's not capable of providing assistance when the bicycle reaches 20. Class 3 is a speed pedal assisted electric bike that ceases to provide assistance when the bike reaches 28. So that means the correct answer is B. Class 4 is not a type of e-bike, and our Domani Pluses are a class 3 that you will see on some of our trips. So I know we got some right answers out there. Now, one question we get often are about rider levels. We classify our trips on levels 1 through 4, where 1 is leisure, 2 is recreation, 3 is active, and 4 is avid. And if you check out our website, you'll see details of each level about how much time someone should be comfortable spending in the saddle for that level, how many miles, and what kind of elevation gain they should expect for that type of ride. And one thing to keep in mind is that an e-bike would allow you to jump up 1 rider level. So if you think you're a pretty solid level 2 and you want to go on a level 3 trip, get an e-bike and it'll be a breeze. So more info on the website about that. Now, another thing that sets Trek Travel apart is that we include more. So let's talk about what's included on these trips. So we are going to provide some awesome hotels, your guides for each day, every breakfast, most lunches, most dinners. We always have amazing snacks and drinks along the way. We're going to tip local staff if we're eating out or transferring luggage. We'll take care of those luggage transfers. Those world-class bikes that we've talked about, they come equipped with Garmin GPS with 1 to 3 routes loaded for every day. So there are options of a short ride, a today's ride, and an avid ride. We'll provide a helmet if you choose not to travel with yours. We always have a support van, and then we're going to give you some awesome Trek Travel gear to keep. So that doesn't leave a whole lot of what's not included. So we're going to ask you to get to and from the trip start and the trip end. And we are proud to partner with a travel service provider, and we can connect you if you want some help with that transportation. Some meals we want you to get out and enjoy that local cuisine and culture. So we'll provide some recommendations on those meals where you're on your own. And gratuities for your Trek Travel guides are not included in the trip cost. So now our next trivia question is coming right up. That looks like the Blue Ridge Mountains to me out here in Asheville. Okay, question is, what year was Trek Travel founded? And if you were listening at the beginning, you probably have the answer to this. Was it 2000, 2019, 2012, or 2002? So we have been crafting unforgettable cycling vacations for quite a while. I'm not going to tell you yet when that was, but while people are putting those in the chat box, this is from Asheville to Brevard, and that's about 3.5 hours west of me. Some amazing climbing. We've seen black bears on our rides out in Asheville to Brevard, and Brevard is famous for white squirrels, and we actually saw some of those last fall when I was out there. All right, hopefully answers are in. The answer is D. Trek Travel was founded in 2002, and we celebrated 20 years last year. Super stoked about that. So now we are on to our trip spotlight, which you all have tuned in for. And we've got 2 trips. We've got Texas Ride Camp and we've got Norway, very different trips. And we've got an interesting way we're doing this evening because both of our guides who are experts in Texas Ride Camp and Norway are out on trip guiding guests through unforgettable vacations currently. So we got them to record their spotlight and provide all their info and intel on these trips. So we're going to show you a recording of Texas Ride Camp, and then we're going to switch over and hop over to Norway. But please don't fret if you've got questions. Taryn and I are absolutely able to answer questions that you've got. And of course, throw questions into the chat box as we're going through these. So first off, our first expert on Texas Ride Camp is Curtis Zaun. Curtis has been hired with me in 2019, and we've been guiding together since then. And he's been out in Texas, he's been up in Alaska, he's been all over this country, taking folks on vacations. So Taryn, let's have Curtis take it away.
Give me just 1 second. I hit something and it X'd me out. So just give me one moment.
No problem whatsoever. And I will get this ready. So there's a beautiful picture of Texas Hill Country. It's an interesting area, lots of rolling hills. And Curtis absolutely loves it out there. And I hear there's some German heritage out there that leads to some great bakeries, some really charming boutiques.
Hey, Kate, can you tell me if you can hear this?
No.
I thought maybe I might do that. I'm sorry, everybody. Technical difficulties over here. I need to share my sound.
That's okay.
There we go.
Thanks, Taryn.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to sunny Texas, where you can let the warm Southern hospitality wash over you as you get settled in for 5 days of cycling on picturesque country roads. Just like our Texas Ride Camp, you'll be based out of Fredericksburg, Texas, a quaint city with a unique German heritage that you will see in its delightful bakeries, bustling Main Street, charming boutiques, and distinctive architecture. Fun fact, Fredericksburg was founded in 1846 and named after Prince Frederick of Prussia. Old-time German residents often referred to Fredericksburg as Fritztown, a nickname that is sometimes still used in businesses. Fredericksburg is the heart of Texas wine country, with peach orchards, pecan groves, and loads of live music. There is a casual cowboy charm that values simplicity and comfort over the lavish vibes that some of our other destinations have, and this is all part of its charm. I've been guiding here since we started doing ride camps in 2019, as they mentioned, and it has been one of my absolute favorite places to ride. So let's start talking about riding. The rides are great for level 2 riders, and if you're looking for a little more of a challenge, there are plenty of options for level 3. Obviously, we do ride camps here, so there are definitely lots of options for various ride levels. The meandering byways, gentle ascents, and bike-friendly rural highways that surround the area are perfect for exploring on 2 wheels. This is a pic from day 4, where you ride out to Willow City. This is one of my favorite rides. Actually, a lot of the rides are my favorite rides, but this is definitely one of my favorite rides. If you look closely, you're going to see the boots on the fence posts, which go out for a few hundred yards. And at the beginning of the boots, there's actually a small wooden sign painted like the Texas flag, but with a boot where the star is supposed to be. This is definitely a spot where you're going to stop and take a few pics because it is classic kitschy Texas. I've been out there tons of times, and every time I go out, I stop and take the same pic because it's just so classic. This pic itself is actually a great pic of the beautiful limestone chip seal roads that you're going to be riding on most of the time. One thing you're going to encounter on this trip more than others are cattle guards. Not something we have on lots of our trips, so something I always want to bring up. They look more intimidating than they actually are, and after you go over them 1 or 2 times, you're going to be a pro, but this is something I always want to mention. On the second day, you're going to head over to the magical and mystical Enchanted Rock State Park Natural Area. This has a massive pink granite dome rising above central Texas that has drawn people for thousands of years. You'll actually see it on your ride out. You're going to see it over to the left before you get to a locally famous climb called Welgenhausen. And this is a little bit of a climb that you have, a punchy little climb before you descend into the state park. Once you get to the state park and see it up close, you're going to kind of see, as this picture shows, kind of how it's like a big onion with layers of granite kind of peeling off. It's just something indescribable. Very, very cool. The following day, we ride out toward Old Tunnel State Park, which is celebrated for being the smallest state park in Texas and home to a historical railroad tunnel that houses approximately 3 million bats that emerge at dusk from late spring to early fall. The tunnel is 962 feet long, took 6 months to dig, and was the only train tunnel and most expensive project in state history at the time it was built. The Old Tunnel State Park presents a stunning show for nature lovers, history buff, and sightseers alike. On the way out there, you're going to pass by Bankersmith, Texas, Bankersmith was founded in 1913 as a train station for the railway running between Fredericksburg and Comfort from went from 2000 or 1913 to 1942 that used the tunnel. That's Old Tunnel State Park. So the tunnel was a very expensive project that wasn't used for very long. The town and the rail station drew its name of Bankersmith from Temple Doswell Smith, who was an important Fredericksburg bank president who financed the railroad. During the 1920s, Bankersmith reached its peak population of approximately 50, but after the railroad abandoned the line in 1942, its population dwindled until it became a ghost town. Bankersmith is another great picture spot that you will definitely want to stop and take a few pics. Last time I was there, they had goats living in an old bus out back, which another great picture spot. On your last morning here, you're going to hop on your bikes and ride out to what we call Cherry on Top Loop. This is a great way to end your trip. You go out northwest of town, hop on Old Mason Road, one of my favorites, and connect with Cherry Mountain Loop, and then head on back. And a great way to reward yourself after 5 days of riding, if you haven't done so already, is treating yourself to a slice of pie from the family-run Fredericksburg Pie Company. Everything here is made from 3 ingredients: sugar, butter, and lots of love. It is usually open only Thursday, Friday, and Saturday, and it often sells out of pies. So if you want a piece of pie, you definitely should. Make sure to call first and make sure that they're open. Our home for this trip is the fantastic Fredericksburg Inn and Suites. It is situated just 1 block from Main Street in the downtown Fredericksburg area. It is a short walk from the city's best restaurants, shops, museums, and art galleries. You're going to love relaxing in one of the 2 pools it has. One is heated, one is not. The one that is not is great to jump into after a long, hot ride. So relaxing and refreshing. There's also a hot tub. And the bike room and the outdoor fireplace, which are located right by the hot tub, are great places to hang out and get to know your fellow cyclists. You're also surrounded by some great local wines and beer. There are over 100 wineries and vineyards in the area, and there's a great local brewery called Allstadt. It's just one of the local favorites that you always want to check out. German, has a restaurant, the premises, and kind of that German architecture. And while we're on the topic of non-cycling activities, Fredericksburg and the surrounding area is known for its amazing live music. You can listen to live music in Fredericksburg at Crossroads Saloon, the Club at Barron's Creek, Western Edge, Altdorf Beer Garden, Hondo's on Main. Hondo's on Main is one of the classic places. You want to definitely catch a live show there if you can, and many, many more. Just check the local calendar and see where places where shows are going on. Outside of town, you can go to Bankersmith. Obviously, the place you stopped at in Old Tunnel State Park. They also have live music there, great place to see it. But you can't talk about seeing live music without talking about Luckenbach. Yes, Luckenbach, the one made famous in the song by Waylon Jennings. Luckenbach is 13 miles southeast of Fredericksburg and named after Carl Albert Luckenbach. Luckenbach was first established as a community trading post, one of the few that never broke a peace treaty with the Comanche Indians with whom they traded. Its oldest building is a combination general store and saloon, reputedly opened in 1849. And actually, this picture here, which that little statue there is Hondo, is where you kind of go to the post office general store there, and the saloon is in the back. So you can grab some souvenirs, grab a beer. It's awesome. Luckenbach's population increased to a high of 492 in 1904, but by the 1960s, it was almost a ghost town. A newspaper advertisement offering, quote, town population 3 for sale led actor Gooch Cook and Hondo Crouch of Hondo's on Main, a rancher and Texas folklorist, to buy Luckenbach for $30,000 in 1970. They used the town's rights as a municipality to govern the dance hall as fit, which I'm sure was a little looser than other towns in the area, which then allowed it to have many unique festivals, including Luckenbach's Women's Chili Cook-Off and the first Luckenbach World's Fair, where Willie Nelson made a surprise appearance. In fact, he must have liked it so much. And in the 1990s, the town hosted several of Willie Nelson's 4th of July picnics. This is a one-of-the-kind place that you don't want to miss when you visit the area. Last but certainly not least, the food here is tasty and hearty. Texans certainly know barbecue. And there's also a strong German influence, as we talked about before. So you can actually get sauerkraut and Tex-Mex in the same restaurant. So you have people of differing tastes. This is one of the few areas where you can get sauerkraut and Tex-Mex at the same place. If you're a vegan, this is Texas, so it's a little more of a challenge, but our guides will work very hard to accommodate your dietary needs. While Texas doesn't always come up immediately to the average cyclist, it definitely should. The riding here is fantastic, and you will definitely have an experience of a lifetime. I love it. I've been there. I've been going back for years and been there for, months and months. And I always enjoy going back to explore more, see the roads. It's just an amazing place. So hopefully I'll see you out on the roads there sometime. Back to you guys.
All right. Curtis does an awesome job. So thank him very much for getting that info together for us. And he gave us some really great insight and some history on all the places we'll get to out in Texas Ride Camp. So we are now going to make a change. Texas, super beautiful, and I know you're going to enjoy your time there, but now we're taking in another crazy, beautiful location that is remote, vast, and magical. So we're going to hop over the Atlantic to another incredible destination. This time it's Norway. So we have a short video on the location, and then we're going to jump right into that pre-recorded presentation from Andee, who has spent a lot of time in Norway, and she is our Norway expert. So we will take it over to Andee.
A lot of our time here in Norway is really spent out in nature and away from all things. This area is so pristine and remote. We get to see a part of Norway that I know I would never have come to. The name of the fjord that we're on is the Zaun Fjord, the longest navigable fjord in Norway. We're at the deepest point of it, and it takes a long time to get here. On our first day riding, we get to see our first glimpse of the glacial blue. This blue that you just don't see anywhere else, and it's all because of the silt that comes off of the granite that's been exposed as the glacier retreats. Our third day, we take guests up to about 5,000 feet, and the landscape changes dramatically. It's rolling hills and it's challenging pitches, and then the rest of the ride continues up to a beautiful ridgeline and a glacier. We will inevitably run across sheep who may cause you to stop and wait while you patiently get your camera out and take pictures, especially in portrait mode. Apparently they're really great on portrait mode. Stave churches were well known around Europe, but the only ones that survived were in Norway. The church that you all are going to get a chance to see today is the oldest and most decorated. It dates back to 1130, and it's all made of wood, which is unique for churches, especially. Our trip tends to continue to build on each other every day, and our guests have remarked that. On the 5th day, they say, we just love how it kept building momentum throughout the week, and I've never seen a glacier. And when we first drive into the area, we get to see the serpentine shape of the glacier from afar, and then as we ride closer and closer, we get to see the front and feel the air rushing off the water that's coming down from the glacier. We have a delicious and beautiful dinner at the Hotel Torvus that evening, where we all get together and regale about our week and just close out a full 5 days. I believe the joy that Norway brings to people is it's so dramatic. For a cyclist, when they're seeing the world by the seat of a bicycle, they want to see different things every day, and they want to be blown away, and that wow moment of, this is incredible. And when you're riding behind them and you come around this bend and they say, wow, and you say, yeah, it's Norway.
Hello, everybody. Thank you so much for joining us. I'm very excited to be here with you to talk to you about one of my favorite places on the planet and one of our favorite trip itineraries, the Norway Fjordlands bike tour. I am very excited because in 2019, I was fortunate enough to guide this trip. And I think once you see the photos and the description of the trip, you'll be just as excited as I was to be there. So without further ado, wanted to let you know that this trip is really for people who like rugged, pristine, and as I said in the video, remote landscapes. It's for people who are interested in Nordic history and for people who really are looking for more activities than cycling and food. It's a great fit for riders at level 3. However, level 2 and level 4 riders can have an equally great experience. We'll have multiple route distances offered on most days, and e-bikes are available. Plus, there's always the trusted TT van for a boost if you need one. The riding here can be characterized by picturing rolling mountains, some challenging climbs and steep pitches tossed in for good measure, little to no traffic, as you can see in this photo and 2 slides back. Some of the roads are very narrow and really only 1 car's width, so they're not very well traveled. It is a place where you'll really feel like you are out in the beautiful countryside. Most of the roads are in excellent condition. However, you might see a little bit of wear and tear, just depending on how the winter is prior to your trip. So one of the most epic days, it's in this photograph, is when we ride the Sognefjell mountain pass. It's the highest in Northern Europe at just under 4,700 feet. And it was shown several times in the video, and you can maybe recognize it by this photo. And a side note is that that day for the film crew was originally planned simply to be a scouting day, yet it turned out to depict exactly the feeling that our guests have on trip, the feeling of the region, because sometimes it's the rain and the wind that punctuates that joy and amazement at this incredible place that you are experiencing, which is also the tallest mountain range in Norway. So after tackling this route, you will be able to say you have cycled on a designated Norwegian National Scenic Route and one of Trek Travel's greatest rides in the world. I cannot express to you how you'll feel afterwards. It's pretty amazing. From the mountains to the sea, we have a super fun off the bike activity for the thrill seekers among you. We'll charter our own rib, which is short for rigid inflatable boat, as you can see in the photo, in order to get some time on the Lusterfjord, which is the innermost branch of the Sognefjord. You'll get to enjoy the wind in your hair, the music, while we make our way to our next hotel. But before we get to the hotel, we're going to make a stop at one of the most impressive waterfalls in Norway, set in a super idyllic setting, as you can see in the photo. This is the Figafossen waterfall. It's one of the highest single drop waterfalls on the peninsula, topping out at 715 feet or 218 meters of a free fall. For this day, though, it's a good idea to pack some sturdy shoes or hiking boots, maybe even hiking poles if it's not too inconvenient. It's not a long hike to get from the road to the face of the waterfall, but you will encounter a combination of large tree roots, boulders, and potentially some mud. Even though we're traveling in the summertime, certainly you could expect some rain in Norway in the summertime, but you'll not even mind because you'll be making your way as step by step closer to the face of the waterfall for a pretty awesome photo op. On another day, you may recognize this from the video as well, we will ride our bikes into the Jostendalsbreen National Park, which 2/3 of it is covered in glacial ice, and it's continental Europe's largest glacier. It holds enough water to fill 300 million bathtubs. It's pretty big. We'll take a short boat ride and a roughly 30-minute approximate hike or slick rock walk, which is when we'll walk on the granite that was exposed. And you'll get to about 100 yards approximately to the face of the glacier. This arm of the glacier is called Nygaardsbreen. You heard earlier that Trek Travel takes you to all the best places in the world, including many UNESCO World Heritage Sites, and this trip is no different. This image is also maybe something you remember from the video. It's a church you'll get to see. It's called the Ernest Stave Church. It's Norway's oldest and most highly decorated stave church. It dates to around 1130. All these words might sound familiar, and has been on the World Heritage List since 1979. Inside the church, there are visible signs of how it was adapted throughout the centuries and is what will likely be one of, if not the most unique churches you've ever seen. Now, I know some of you might be sitting there thinking, Andee, I've traveled, I've seen churches, no more churches, but I can almost guarantee you that this will be a special experience. And maybe you can let me know after the trip if you agree. So, mountains, glaciers, fjords, churches. Next, I want to tell you about our amazing hotels. First, as in the photo there, at the very end of the fjord is the Skjolden Hotel in the town of Skjolden. And it is absolutely one of the top places I've ever hosted a social hour, partly due to the view, but also due to our incredible hosts, Siri and Aslak, the exquisite food, friendly service, and waffles for breakfast. And if you like cheese, you must try the brown cheese. Trust me, trust me, trust me. Try the brown cheese and please bring some back to me. From a beautiful dining room overlooking the fjord, they are going to proudly serve local fish, potatoes, fresh vegetables from their on-site garden. The chef will present every plate of food on this 4-course gourmet meal, along with providing some excellent wine pairings recommendations. The second hotel, I keep saying favorite, but this hotel is one of my favorite hotels in any region. History dates all the way back to 1639, which is pretty awesome. It feels like you've stepped into an old hunting lodge, complete with a stuffed grizzly bear. Great photo opportunity. The Hotel Torvus overlooks the gorgeous Luster Fjord and is where we will ride from on the day we go to the national park to see the glacier. Cozy rooms featuring wood floors, marble bathrooms, balconies with a view of the fjord, and the restaurant is so precious, and the lobby is a perfect place to sit back and relax with a book. So this region, we highly recommend you spend some extra time there, before, after, as best you can. Norway has some fantastic wild camping sites that you can stay on should you want to go and explore and get a lot of exposure to wildlife. In the summer, you have what's called white nights, which is when in the evening, it's so light out almost all evening. So nighttime hiking is really common in the summertime. There are cruise boats that are very popular as an amazing way to see the fjords. And there are lots of great driving routes that take you through long tunnels, on car ferries, over bridges. It's pretty wonderful. So I'll wrap it up by sharing some highlights of my time in Norway on the slide here. So clockwise from top left, you can see the white night there at 10:30 on my watch. It's looks like it's the middle of the day. The next, that's a photograph of Bergen, where I highly recommend you stay before or after, and most likely you'll connect probably through Bergen if you don't come through Oslo. The next are the waffles. It's a staple of Nordic cuisine. Below there is the Sonjafellshahita lake and glacier, and the beautiful bog cotton, which is something I've never seen anywhere else. The photo of the two The young woman and the man, that's my good friend when we are guiding. And the gentleman is Aslak, who is the co-host of our first hotel. And he is a character, brings a lot of color to the trip. The next is the van there along the romantic road, along the fjord. And then we have raspberries that are for sale all over the place, all summer long on every street corner. So as you can see, I'm really passionate and excited about this region. And I hope that you decide to take the journey to Norway with us and ride bikes in such a beautiful place. So with that, that's my time. I'll send it back to our hosts and thank you once again.
Andee does an amazing job at all the details of Norway. I mean, she was there on the first trip. She guided folks all summer and for the first couple of years of that trip. So she really has the inside knowledge and has loved that trip. So beautiful, beautiful place and remote and wild, really cool. So let's talk about how do you book on one or both of these trips. So we'll talk about those details, but I wanted to point out that on our website, you can get some details about travel on any of those travel pages. So we've pulled up the Scotland bike tour for you, and you can see that there's travel details at the top of that page. And that's the same on any of our trips. So you'll see where you should fly in and out of. If you need to travel by train to get to the destination, to the start of the trip, that info will be there, as well as sometimes we even have some packing lists depending on the time of year for you. So lots of info there. And of course, if you don't get the info you're looking for from the website, our trip consultants are always happy to talk with you and answer your questions. So they are on call for you, and we're not done yet, but I just wanted to point out one other thing. A lot of you are on with us tonight because you may have seen on our website that we have all of our events posted. And so if you want to see more info about, let's say, Mallorca ride camp, or you want to see info on Puglia or Glacier, the Glacier National Park trip, you can see when that information is coming up. And here's the pro tip, that we will send out the video recording the day after if you've registered for this event. So tomorrow you'll get a recording of tonight's presentation. So if you want to share it with your friends to get them to go on the Norway trip or the Texas ride camp with you, you can do that. So that's one way to get that scoop if you're not available when we're presenting live. Or just like tonight, if you've already got the scoop on who we are at Trek Travel, you can log in a few minutes late and just catch that trip spotlight. So trying to make it efficient and get you the info you need. So here's our next 4 action steps. One is to look for that email I just mentioned. It'll be coming at you tomorrow. And you also will get a coupon for some significant money off a trip just for attending tonight's presentation. So keep an eye out for that. Check out our website. That's where you can get info about travel logistics. You can find out more about rider levels. You can search for a trip based on the dates you're available, rider level, hotel. If you want to just go to one hotel and unpack for the week, we have a collection that just has one hotel. So lots of ways to search for your perfect trip. You can give us a call. As I mentioned, our trip consultants are available to answer questions, help you get booked, and they are available Monday through Friday, 8 to 6 Central Time, and they would love to talk with you. And then the last part is to get ready for your trip, because preparing, training, and gearing up for your trip is half the fun, right? Getting out with your friends and getting some miles in and getting in that saddle again. So if you've got questions about how to get ready for a trip, what gear you might need, some group rides perhaps, visit your local Trek dealer. And you can find your local Trek dealer by going to trekbikes.com to see who is your local dealer, and also hop on one of those e-bikes. So super, super fun. So now we are on the last part of our route for the evening, where we want to answer your questions. So I'm going to stop the screen share, and I would love to have you turn on your camera and your mic and ask those questions out loud. Drop them in the chat box. We want to answer any questions so we can help you get booked on a trip. So feel free, cameras and mics. You can say those questions out loud or drop them there online.
Hi, Linda. I know there was a couple questions about the weather in both locations, so I wanted to just touch on that a little bit. So obviously, when we go to Texas in the fall, the humidity is significantly better. I always tell people this because they always ask, "Well, when is the actual best time to travel on one of your trips to like X location?" And I always say, listen, we only go to those locations when it is the best time to go. So like if it's a really bad time, it's like extremely hot and miserable, we just don't have dates during those times because we just don't want people to be super miserable. So just know if it's on our website, it's probably a good time. The humidity in the fall in Texas is significantly better. And then for Norway, the temperatures, because it's a coastal area, they have a saying in Norway. I was kind of looking up some of the stuff on it, and it said the saying in Norway is there's no such thing as bad weather, just bad clothing. So bring your layers in Norway. There is a range. It could be anywhere from like 50 degrees up to like the 80s, low 80s. And it could be rainy and foggy one day and then super sunny the next day. It could also be rainy and foggy in the morning and super sunny in the afternoon. So just be prepared for anything. No one wants to be, riding down a hill with frozen fingers. So bring your gloves. And yeah, we always have, so something that people maybe aren't aware of, but we always have a guide on their bike and a guide in a van. So if you are like, oh my gosh, I've got my jacket on and I'm dying now, it's way too hot, you can throw it in the van or give it to one of the guides and they'll take it for you, take it off your hands. So you don't have to worry about that. Just have it with you just in case. Are there any other questions about that? But I wanted to just touch on that because I know weather is obviously, we only run trips in Norway, June through August, because that is the warmest time of the season.
And lots of sunlight.
Yeah. Yeah. Any other questions? Thanks for turning your videos on so that we can see your beautiful faces.
It looks like the Resch family is in 2 different locations.
Yeah, we're in different places today.
Nice.
Glad you could all get on.
Yeah, absolutely. Any other questions on anything else? Any just general what to expect on a travel trip questions? Anyone been on a trip before?
Yeah, we've been on a few so far. I think 3 of them.
Okay.
Yeah.
Where to?
We did the San Juan Islands off the coast of Washington. A trip through Vermont, which was fabulous. And then a really fun one in Sonoma County, like a wine and cycling trip. It was phenomenal. In all cases, the guides were great, the equipment was great, and the experiences were just tremendous. So we're Trek believers.
Awesome. That's wonderful.
Fantastic. Glad to hear it. Great trips.
Yeah.
All right. Any other questions?
Well, I have 2 winners for our trivia questions. I see both are still on. So good chance if you're still here that you win a trivia question. My 2 winners who got the 2 answers correctly were Andrew and Benjamin. So you will get an email from me tomorrow just on how to redeem your prize. So congratulations.
Woo! Congrats, y'all. So one more chance to answer your questions live tonight. Otherwise, please know you can always contact us by email or giving us a call. We'd be happy to talk with you and answer questions. But otherwise, we want to thank you so much for spending your evening with us, dreaming about where your bike can take you next. We can't wait to see you out on a bike with us on your next trip. Have a great evening, everybody.
Thank you.
Thanks all.
Welcome. Have a great night.
Yep.
Bye.